ኦኬ ወደ ተማሪዎች እንኳን ወደ አሊ ሳይንስ ዩቲዩብ ቻናል በሰላም መጣችሁ። ዛሬም የ11ኛ ባዮሎጂ ትምህርት ላይ ከምዕራፍ 5 100 የፈተና ጥያቄዎች ከነማርሳቸው እንደዛውም ከነመግለጫቸው የሰው ልጅ አካል ስርዓት ላይ በአማሪክ ቱቶሪያል እየቀርባለሁ። So our tutorial is on new curriculum biology grade 11 unit 5 100 exam question with answer and also with explanation on the human body system tutorial in Amharic. So don't forget ይሄንን ቪዲዮ የምታዩበት ጊዜ ማርሳት የሌለባችሁ ነገር ምንድነው VPN ወይ ደግሞ ሲፎን ከፍታችሁ ማቱ እንዳትረሱ። ምክንያቱም VPN ወይ ደግሞ ሲፎን ከፍታችሁ ካያችሁ ጥሩ ኳሊቲ ያለው ቪዲዮ ስለምታገኙ VPN ወይ ደግሞ ሲፎን ከፍታችሁ እንድታዩ በአክብሮት ጠይቃችኋለሁ። እንደዛውም ይሄንን ቪዲዮ ላይክ በማድረግ አሊ ሳይንስ ዩቲዩብ ቻናል ሰብስክራይብ በማድረግ አሊ ሳይንስ ዩቲዩብ ቻናል ቤተሰብ ሁኑ። ላይክ ሰብስክራይብ ካደረጋችሁ እኔ የሚለቁት ነገር ቶሎ እናንተ ጋር ስለሚደርስ ላይክ ሰብስክራይብ ማድረጉን እንዳትረሱ። እንደዛውም ቴሌግራም ግሩፕ ካላችሁ እዛ ላይ ሼር ማድረጉን እንዳትረሱ። So let us start our tutorial on unit 5 100 exam question with answer. Instruction: choose the best answer for the questions from the given alternative. ከተሰጣችሁ ምርጫዎች ትክክለኛ የሆነ ምርጫ በመምረጥ ማለት ይችላል። Question number 1. What is the primary function of musculoskeletal system? አንደኛ ጥያቄ የmusculoskeletal system ዋነኛው ስራ የሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A, to provide movement. Means that the musculoskeletal system provides shape, enables movement and protect vital organs. Question number 2. Which part of musculoskeletal system prevents bones from rubbing against each other? የመስኩሎስኬሌታል ስርዓት ውስጥ ሆኖ አጥንቶች እንዳይጋጩ የሚከላከል የሆነው የሚከላከል የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be B, cartilage. Means that cartilage acts as a cushion between bones, preventing friction during movement. Question number 3. Which structure connect muscle to bone? ከሚከተሉት ስትራክቸሮች ውስጥ ጡንቻዎች ከአጥንት ጋራ የሚያያይዙ የትኞቹ ናቸው ይላል። So that should be B, tendons. Means that tendons are fibrous tissue that connect muscle to bones. Question number 4. Which of the following is not function of musculoskeletal system? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ የመስኩሎስኬሌታል ስርዓት ስራ ያልሆነ የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D, digesting food. Means that the musculoskeletal system responsible for movement, blood cell production or bone marrow and mineral storage, but it is not involved in digestion of food. Question number 5. Which of the following is a role of connective tissue in musculoskeletal system? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ የኮኔክቲቭ musculoskeletal ስርዓት ውስጥ የኮኔክቲቭ ቲሹ ስራ የሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, binding organs together and supporting movements. Means that connective tissue provide structural support, help in stabilizing position, binding organ together and also support with bodily movement. Question number 6. Which structure is responsible for storing minerals in musculoskeletal system? ከሚከተሉት የመስኩሎስኬሌታል ስርዓት ውስጥ ማዕድኖችን ስቶር በማድረግ የሚታወቀው ወይ ሪስፖንሲቢሊቲ ያለው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, bones. Means that bones store essential minerals like calcium and phosphorus, which are vital for various body functions. Question number 7. During the muscle relaxation phase, what happened to actin and the myosin? ጡንቻዎች ሪላክስድ የሚሆኑበት ፌስ ላይ አክቲን እና ማዮሲን ምን ይሆናሉ ይላል። So that should be D, they unbind and turn to the relaxed state. Means that during the muscle relaxation, calcium is pumped back into sarcoplasmic reticulum, breaking link between actin and myosin, allowing the muscle to relax to the relaxed state. Question number 8. Which of the following is functional unit of muscle contraction within the myofibrils? ጡንቻዎች contraction ውስጥ within the myofibrils የፋንክሽናል ዩኒት ተብለው የሚታወቀው ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, sarcomeres. Means that sarcomeres are repeating unit within the myofibrils composed of thick myosin filament and a thin active filament responsible for muscle contraction. Question number 9. what are the components of musculoskeletal system responsible for enabling movement? የmusculoskeletal system ስርዓት ሆኖ እንቅስቃሴ እንዲኖር የሚያስችል የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D, all of the above. All ligament, cartilage, bones, muscles, joint, and tendons, all are what? All are enabling the movement. Means that movement involves the coordination of part of bones, muscle, joints, tendons, and the ligaments. Question number 10. Which part of musculoskeletal system produce brain cell? የmusculoskeletal ስርዓት ውስጥ የደም ሴሎችን የሚመረት የቱ ውስጥ ነው ይላል። So that should be A, bone marrow. Means that bone marrow located within the bones produce red and white blood cell as well as platelets. Question number 11. What is the role of ligament in musculoskeletal system? የጡንቻና አጥንቶች ስርዓት ውስጥ የሊጋመንት ስርዓት ስራው ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be B, attach bone to bone. Means that ligaments are fibrous connective tissue that attach bone to bone. Question number 12. Which of the following is primary function of joints in musculoskeletal system? የጡንቻና አጥንቶች ስርዓት ውስጥ ዋነኛው የጆይንትስ ወይ ደግሞ የመገጣጠሚያ ስራዎች የምንላቸው ከመከታተሉት የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, allowing movement by connecting bones. Means that joints connect bones and facilitate movement by acting as pivot point in the body. Question number 30. Where are smooth muscle found in the human body? የሰው ሰውነት ውስጥ smooth muscles የምንላቸው የት ይገኛሉ ይላል። So that should be A, in the stomach. Means that smooth muscles are found in the stomach, in intestines, bladder, and other hollow organs in the body. Question number 40. Which of the following type of muscle is involuntary and straight? ከሚከተሉት የጡንቻዎች አይነት ውስጥ involuntary እና straight የሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, cardiac muscles. Means that cardiac muscles is involuntary and straight, found in the walls of the heart. Question number 50. What happened during recharging phase of muscle contraction? Muscle contraction የሚሆንበት ወይ ጡንቻዎች ኮንትራክት የሚሆንበት ጊዜ recharging phase ላይ ምን ይሆናሉ ይላል። So that should be B, ATP is resynthesized to maintain growth formation. Means that during the recharging phase, ATP is regenerated to sustain the binding of actin and myosin, keeping muscle contracted. Question number 60. Which of the following is the basic process involved in muscle activation? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ የመስል ወይ ጡንቻዎች አክቲቬትድ የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ ቤዚክ ፕሮሰስ የሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D, release of calcium activated by an action potential. Means that during muscle activation, an action potential stimulates the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium and initiating muscle contractions. Question number 70. What is the approximate percentage of body weight made up of muscles? የሰውነት ክብደታችን ውስጥ የጡንቻዎች ፐርሰንቴጅ ስንት ክብደት ስንት ሊሆን ይችላል? So that should be B, 30 to 40%. Means that muscle make up approximately 30 to 40% of total body mass. Question number 80. Which of the following type of muscle is non-stretched and involuntary? ከሚከተሉት የጡንቻዎች አይነት non-stretched እና involuntary የሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A, smooth muscles. Means that smooth muscles are non-stretched and involuntary, controlling the flow of substance in the hollow organs. Question number 90. What are the two main types of filaments in skeletal muscle fibers that directly involved in muscle contraction? ሁለቱ የፊላሜንት አይነቶች ጡንቻዎች ኮንትራክት እንዲሆኑ ዳይሬክትሊ ኢንቮልቭድ የሚያደርጉ musculoskeletal fibers የምንላቸው የትኞቹ ናቸው ይላል። So that should be C, actin and myosin. Means that actin is a thin filament and the myosin is a thick filament, are primary protein that are responsible for the muscle contractions. Question number 20. Which of the following triggers the release of calcium in muscle cells during activation? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ ካልሲየም የሚለቅበት ጊዜ የመስል ሴሎች አክቲቬሽን የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ መስል ካልሲየም ሪሊዝ እንዲሆን ስቲሙሌት የሚያደርግ የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be neuromuscular junction stimulation means that neuromuscular junction stimulation or action potential stimulation stimulates the sarcoplasmic reticulum to release calcium into the muscle cell. Question number 21. Which muscle type is responsible for voluntary movement? كم ጡንቻዎች አይነት ውስጥ በእኛ ፍላጎት ለመንቀሳቀስ ወይ ደግሞ ቮለንተሪ የሆነው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be a skeletal muscles means that skeletal muscles are responsible for voluntary movement. Question number 22. What is the function of erector pili muscles in the skin? erector piliዎች ቆዳ ውስጥ የሚገኙ erector pili muscles ስራቸው ምንድነው ላል so that should be C cause hair to stand erect means that erector pili muscles are teeny smooth muscles attached to the hair follicle in the skin and cause hair to stand erect in the response to cold, heat and also fear. Question number 23. Which protein block myosin binding site on the actin in relaxed muscle? ጡንቻዎች ሪላክስድ የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ ማዮሲን እና አክቲን ባንዲንጋቸው ወይ ደግሞ የነሱ መሃል ላይ ያለው ቦንድ እንዲሰባበር የሚያደርገው ፕሮቲን የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be C tropomyosin means that tropomyosin block myosin binding site on actin in relaxed muscle. Question number 24. What feature allows cardiac muscles to contract in the sarcomized manner? በሳርኮማይዝድ ማነር ውስጥ መስሎች ኮንትራክት የሚያደርጉ ካርዲያክ መስል ውስጥ የትኛው ፊቸር ነው ላል so that should be the intercalated disc means that intercalated disc connects the cardiac muscle cell and ensures their sarcomized contraction that is vital for heart function. Question number 25. What is the role of sarcoplasmic reticulum during muscle contraction? ጡንቻዎች ኮንትራክት የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ የሳርኮፕላዝሚክ ሬቲኩለም ስራው ምንድነው ላል so that should be A to store and release calcium ion means that the sarcoplasmic reticulum play a crucial role in muscle contraction by serving as storage and release calcium ion in response to an action potential initiating the muscle contraction process. Question number 26. During muscle contraction, which one of the following cause cross bridge formation? የመስል ኮንትራክሽን ጊዜ ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ ክሮስ ብሪጅ ፎርሜሽን ኮዝ የሚያደርገው እንደፈጠረ የሚያደርገው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be D calcium binding to troponin means that calcium binding to troponin cause a shift in tropomyosin and exposing binding site on actin and allow myosin to form cross bridges with actin. Question number 27. Which of the following is a primary role of ATP in muscle contraction? ጡንቻዎች ኮንትራክት የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ ዋነኛው የATP ስራው ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ላል so the answer should be B to provide energy for actin and myosin cross bridge formation means that ATP provide chemical energy necessary for actin and myosin to form cross bridge formation enabling muscle fiber to contract. Question number 28. Which of the following happen during muscle relaxation? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ ጡንቻዎች ሪላክስድ የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ የሚፈጠረው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be D calcium is pumped back into sarcoplasmic reticulum means that during muscle relaxation calcium is pumped back to sarcoplasmic reticulum breaking the actin myosin bond. Question number 29. What are the structural and the functional unit of muscle contraction composed of actin and myosin filament? ከሚከተሉት የመስል ኮንትራክሽን ፈንክሽን ስትራክቸራል ፈንክሽናል ዩኒት ነው actin እና myosin በውስጡ የሚያዘው filament የትኛው ምን ይባላል so that should be A sarcomeres means that sarcomeres are functional the structural and the functional unit of muscle contractions composed of actin and myosin filament. Question number 30. Which of the following protein does calcium bind to during muscle contraction? በmuscle contraction ጊዜ calcium ጋራ ባንድ የሚያደርገው ፕሮቲን ከመከታተሉት የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be the troponin means that calcium binding to troponin causing tropomyosin to move and expose binding site on actin for myosin attachment means that myosin are the motor protein responsible for fourth generation. Actin is the 18 filament that myosin pulls during contraction. Troponin is a calcium binding protein that initiates contraction. Tropomyosin blocks myosin binding site on the actin until troponin moves it. Question number 31. Which type of muscle contraction incorrectly matched with their muscle movement? ከሚከተሉት የመስል ኮንትራክሽን አይነቶች ውስጥ መስል ሙቭመንት ጋራ በትክክል ማሽድ ያልተዛመደው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be the isometric muscle shortening የሚል በትክክል አልተዛመደ ማለት ነው means that isometric does not change the length so it is not change in the length but it remains in the same length. Concentric muscle it makes muscle shortens. Eccentric muscle it makes muscle lengthening. Question number 32. How many bones are in adult human skeletal? And adult human የምንለው ስንት አጥንት ይኖራል ይላል so that should be A 206 means that total the adult human skeletal consists 206 bones formed by fusion of bones during development so the total number of bones in the human body is 80 axial and 126 appendicular which makes 206. Question number 33. Which of the following is function of osteoblast in the bone? And the just the osteoblast ስራ የሆነው ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be C form new bones means that osteoblasts are responsible for formation of new bones. Question number 34. Which of the following type of bones is longer than it is wide? ከሚከተሉት አጥንቶች ውስጥ ከርዝመታቸው ከሰፍነታቸው ርዝመታቸው የሚበልጥ የትኛው አይነት አጥንት ነው ላል so that should be A long bones means that long bones such as femur and tibia are longer than they are wide. Question number 35. Which of the following are primary component of axial skeletal? ከሚከተሉት ውስጥ የአክሲያል skeletal component የሆነው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be B skull, trunk and pelvis means that the axial skeletal include the skull, trunk, pelvis forming the medial core structure of the body. Question number 36. Which part of skeletal protects heart and leg? ከሚከተሉት አጥንቶች ውስጥ ልብና ሳምባን ከአደጋ የሚከላከለው የትኛው አጥንት ነው ላል so that should be B rib cage means that the rib cage protects the heart and lung from injury. Question number 37. What is the primary function of joints in human body? የሰው ሰውነት ውስጥ አካል ውስጥ ዋነኛው የማገጣጠሚያ ወይ ጆይንት ስራው የሆነው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be C to bind bones and allow movement means that joint connect bones and allow body to produce movement. Question number 38. Which of the following type of joint allow movement in all direction? ከሚከተሉት ማገጣጠሚያ አይነቶች ውስጥ በሁሉም ዳይሬክሽን እንቅስቃሴ እንዲኖር የሚያደርገው የትኛው አይነት ጆይንት ነው ላል so that should be B ball and socket joint means that ball and socket joint such as shoulder, hip and permit movement in all direction. Question number 39. What type of joint is found in elbow and knee? elbow እና knee ውስጥ ያለው ጉልበትና elbow ላይ ያለው የማገጣጠሚያ አይነት የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be D hinge joint means that hinge joint open and close in one direction allow a single plane like elbow and the knee. Question number 40. Which joint allow limited movement by sliding smooth surface one over another? ከማገጣጠሚያ አይነቶች ውስጥ ሊሚትድ የሆነ እንቅስቃሴ እንዲኖር የሚያደርግና ለስንንቀሳቀስ አንዱ ላይ በማስፋፋት እንቅስቃሴ እንዲኖር የሚያደርገው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be a gliding joint means that gliding joints such as a wrist joint allow limited movement by sliding smooth surface over each other. Question number 41. What is the primary function of human reproductive system? ከመከተሉት ዋነኛው የሰው መራቢያ ስርዓት ዋነኛው ስራው ምንድነው ላል so that should be B to produce sperm and egg cell means that the reproductive system produces sperm in males and egg cell in female for reproduction. Question number 42. Which of the following male reproductive organ produce sperm and testosterone? ከመከተሉት የወንድ መራቢያ አካል ሆኖ ስፐርም እና ቴስቶስትሮንን ፕሮዲዩስ የሚያደርገው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be B testis means that the testes produce sperm and the male sex hormone testosterone. Question number 43. Which structure secretes fructose into semen to provide energy for sperm? ከመከተሉት ስትራክቸር ውስጥ ፍሩክቶስ semen ውስጥ secrete በማድረግ ለስፐርም ኤነርጂ የሚሰጥ የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be D seminal vesicles means that the seminal vesicles secrete fructose into semen provide energy for sperm. Question number 44. What is the role of corpus gland in male reproductive system? የወንድ መራቢያ አካል ወይ ስርዓት ውስጥ የኮርፐስ ግላንድ ስራው ምንድነው ላል so that should be C to secrete mucus into semen means that corpus gland secrete mucus rich fluid that may protect sperm from acid in urethra. Question number 45. The blank space enclose and protect external reproductive organs and contains sweat and oil secreting gland. ባዶ ቦታ external reproductive organ ነው ውስጥ ያሉትን በመሸፈን ከአደጋ የሚከላከልና sweat እና oil secreting gland ያለው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be C labia majora means that the labia majora enclose and protect the external reproductive organs and contain sweat and oil secreting gland. Question number 46. Which of the following secretes an alkaline buffer to protect sperm from acidic environment of vagina? ከመከተሉት alkaline buffer secrete በማድረግ ስፐርምን ከአሲዲክ environment vagina ውስጥ የሚጠብቀው የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be B prostate gland means that the prostate gland secretes an alkaline buffer to protect sperm from the acidic environment of the vagina. Question number 47. The gland produce mucus secretion near the vaginal opening in nose. Gland vaginal opening አካባቢ mucus secrete የሚያደርገው gland የትኛው ነው ላል so that should be A Bartholin's gland means that the Bartholin's gland are located near the vaginal opening and produce mucus secretion. Question number 48. What is the function of fibula in female reproductive system? የሴቶች መራቢያ ስርዓት ውስጥ ፊምብሪያ ስራው ምንድነው ላል so that should be C sweep the ovum into the oviduct after ovulation means that the function of fibula in the female reproductive system is to sweep the ovum into the oviduct following ovulation. Question number 49. What is the role of estrogen hormone in female reproductive system? የሴቶች መራቢያ ስርዓት ውስጥ የኤስትሮጅን ሆርሞን ስራው ምንድነው ላል so that should be D regulate menstrual cycle and support pregnancy means that estrogen regulates the menstrual cycle and support pregnancy by preparing the uterus for implantation. Question number 50. What is the process where haploid gamete sperm and egg are formed from the diploid cell through meiosis? በካፕሎይድ ጋሜቶች ከዳይፕሎይድ ሴሎች የሚመረቱ በማዮሲስ ስፐርም እና ኤግ በምን ስርዓት ነው ፕሮሰሱ ሂደቱ ምን ይባላል ያል so that should be C gametogenesis means that gametogenesis is the process where haploid gamete sperm and egg cell are formed from diploid cells through meiosis so it is known as gametogenesis. The spermatogenesis is the process by which sperm is formed and oogenesis is the process by which egg is formed. Question number 51. from the male reproductive system. Where does spermatogenesis occur? የወንዶች ማራቢያ ስርዓት ውስጥ spermatogenesis የት ቦታ ነው የሚከናወነው ይላል። So that should be a seminiferous tubules. Means that the spermatogenesis occur in seminiferous tubules of the testes. Question number 52. Which one of the following is the role of Sertoli cells in spermatogenesis? ከሚከተሉት ዋነኛው የሴርቶሊ ሴሎች ስራ የሆነው spermatogenesis የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D, nourishing the sperm cells. Means that Sertoli cells provide nourishment to the developing sperm cell and are also called nurse cell. Question number 53. Which hormone promotes secretion of ovulation during menstrual cycle? በወር አበባ ሳይክል ውስጥ ኦቭሌሽን ሰክሬት የሚሆኑበት ጊዜ ፕሮሞት የሚያደርገው ሆርሞን የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be B, estrogen. Means that estrogen promotes the secretion of ovulation by providing positive feedback to the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. Question number 54. Which hormone is primarily responsible for maintaining the endometrium during the lethal phase? በሌታል ፌዝ ጊዜ ማህፀኑ በደንብ እንዲያድግ የሚጠብቅ ዋነኛው ስራው ያለ የማ ሆርሞን ነው ይላል። So that should be C, progesterone. Means that progesterone secreted by corpus luteum maintaining endometrium for potential pregnancy. Question number 55. What is the role of positive feedback in menstrual cycle? menstrual cycle ውስጥ ዋነኛው positive feedback ስራው ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be B, to stimulate ovulation. Means that positive feedback occurs when estrogen stimulates the release of gonadotropin releasing hormone, lead to a surge in luteinizing hormone and the follicle stimulating hormone, which stimulate ovulation. Question number 56. What is the role of negative feedback in menstrual cycle? menstrual cycle ውስጥ negative feedback ስራው ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be C, to inhibit the release of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Means that negative feedback occurs when high level of progesterone and estrogen inhibit the release of follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, preventing the development of new follicles. Question number 57. What happened to the corpus luteum if fertilization does not occur? fertilization ሳይፈጠር ከቀረ corpus luteum ምን ይሆናል ይላል። So that should be D, it degrades, degenerates and forms the corpus albicans. Means that if fertilization does not occur, the corpus luteum degenerates and leads to decrease in progesterone and estrogen levels. Question number 58. Where does fertilization typically occur in female reproductive system? የሴቶች ማራቢያ ስርዓት አካል ውስጥ ስርዓት reproductive ስርዓት ውስጥ fertilization የት ቦታ ነው የሚከናወነው ይላል። So that should be C, fallopian tubes. Means that fertilization usually occurs in ampulla of fallopian tubes where the sperm meets the egg. Question number 59. What is the gestation period in human? And not ቆያለች በወድ ይላል። So that should be C, 9 months. Means that the gestation period in human lasted about 9 months or 40 weeks, continued from the last menstrual period. Question number 63. What is the function of corpus luteum during early pregnancy? Early pregnancy ጊዜ corpus luteum ስራው ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be A, to secrete progesterone. Means that the corpus luteum secretes progesterone to maintain the uterine lining during early pregnancy. Question number 61. What is the advantage of having a large number of sperm cells during fertilization? fertilization በሚከናወንበት ጊዜ ብዙ የስፐርም ቁጥሮች መኖሩ ጥቅሙ ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be A, to increase the chance of fertilization. Means that a large number of sperm cells increase the chance of one sperm successfully fertilizing the egg. Question number 62. Which condition involves non-cancerous growth in or around the womb that affect fertility. የትኛው ኮንዲሽን ነው ይላል ማጣኑ አካባቢ ነን ካንሰር የሆነው እድገት ያለውና ካንሰር ያልሆኑ ሴሎች በደንብ አድጎ ማጣኑ ጽንሱ እንዳይቀበል የሚያደርጉ የትኛው ይሄ እድገት ምን ይባላል? So that should be fibroids. Means that fibroids are non-cancerous growth in and or around the womb that can affect fertility. Question number 63. Which condition prevent sperm from swimming into vagina due to hardening mucus? ከሚከተሉት ኮንዲሽን ስፐርም ወደ ቫጂና እንዳይሄድ የሚከለክለው hardening mucus የሚባለው ምክንያት የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be cervical mucosa problems. Means that cervical mucosa problems involve hardened mucus to prevent sperm from swimming into the vagina. Question number 64. Which of the following lifestyle factor can contribute female infertility? ከሚከተሉት ላይፍ አናናር ስርዓት ውስጥ የፊሜል ኢንፈርቲሊቲ የሚያመጣው የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be A. Smoking, alcohol and drug misuse. Means that lifestyle factor such as smoking, alcohol and drug misuse can negatively impact fertility. Question number 65. Which condition involves dilated veins around the testicle that can affect fertility? ከሚከተሉት ኮንዲሽን dilated veins dilated በመሆን testicle affect fertility affect የሚያደርጉ የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be B. varicocele. Means that varicocele refers to dilated veins around the testicle which can impair sperm production and function. Question number 66. Which condition involves unskinned testicle in men? ከሚከተሉት ኮንዲሽን ውስጥ testicle unskinned እንዲሆን የሚያደርገው ወንዶች ውስጥ የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be D. cryptorchidism. Means that unskinned testicles, also known as cryptorchidism, can contribute to male infertility. Question number 67. What is the CD4 count threshold for AIDS diagnosis? አንድ ሰው ኤድስ ካለው CD4 ሴሎች በቁጥር ስንት ሊሆኑ ይችላሉ ይላል? So that should be D. fewer than 200 cells per millimeter cube. Means that a CD4 count for fewer than 200 cells per millimeter cube. This indicates AIDS. The healthy immune system of CD4 count is between 500 to 1060 cells per millimeter cube. Question number 68. Which of the following risk factor contributes to low sperm count in men? ከሚከተሉት risk factor contribute low sperm count in those የሚያደርገው የትኛው ኮንዲሽን ነው ይላል? So that should be A. hypogonadism. Means that hypogonadism, a condition where testes produce insufficient testosterone, can lead to low sperm count and male infertility. Question number 69. Which of the following type of cell in bones helps reshape them after fracture? አጥንቶች ከተሰባበሩ በኋላ ተመልሶ እንዲድኑ ወይ ደግሞ እንዲገጣጠሙ የሚያደርገው ሴሎች ውስጥ የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be D. osteoprogenitor cells. Means that osteoprogenitor cells play an important role in repairing fractures and reshaping bone tissue. Question number 70. Which condition can cause infertility in both men and women? ከሚከተሉት ኮንዲሽን ውስጥ የወንዶችና የሴቶች ኢንፈርቲሊቲ የሁለቱም ላይ ኢንፈርቲሊቲ ሊያመጣ የሚችል ኮንዲሽን የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be C. smoking tobacco. Means that smoking tobacco can negatively impact fertility in both men and women. Question number 71. Which structure carries sperm from epididymis to junction within the urethra? ከሚከተሉት ስትራክቸር ውስጥ ስፐርም ከኤፒዲዲሚስ ሸክመው ወደ ጃንክሽን ኦፍ ዩሬትራ የሚያደርሰው የትኛው ነው ይላል? So that should be A. vas deferens. Means that the vas deferens transports sperm from epididymis to urethra during ejaculation. Question number 72. What is the function of epididymis in male reproductive system? የወንዶች መራቢያ ስርዓት ውስጥ የኤፒዲዲሚስ ዋነኛው ስራው ምንድነው ይላል? So that should be C. maturing and storing sperm cells. Means that the epididymis store sperm cells and enables their maturation within coiled tubules. Question number 73. In which phase of menstrual cycle does follicle mature and endometrium lining develop? የመወረበባ ሳይክል ውስጥ ፌስ ውስጥ ፎሊክል ማቹር የሚሆንበት ጊዜ እንቁላሎች የሚያድጉበትና እንደዛው ማህፀኑ ራሱን የሚያዘጋጅበት ራሱን ዲቨሎፕ የሚያደርግበት ምን ፌስ ውስጥ ነው ይላል። So that should be C, follicular phase. Means that during the follicular phase, which is a day 15 to 30, the follicular matures and the uterine lining develop in preparation for ovulation. Question number 74. In which of the following phase of menstrual cycle sequence written correctly? ከሚከተሉት ፌስ የmenstrual cycle phase በትክክል ሲኩዌንስን ጠብቀው የተጻፈው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A, menstruation phase, follicular phase, ovulation phase, then luteal phase. Means that the correct sequence of menstrual cycle phase is menstruation phase, follicular phase, ovulation phase, and luteal phase. Question number 75. What is the primary role of estrogen in follicular phase? Follicular phase ውስጥ ዋነኛው የኤስትሮጅን ስራው ምንድነው ይላል። So that should be D, promoting thickening the endometrial lining. Means that estrogen helps to develop endometrial lining during follicular phase, preparing the uterus for for the possible implantation. Question number 76. What happened to hormone level during menstrual phase? በmenstrual phase ውስጥ menstrual phase ላይ የመጀመሪያ ደም የሚወጣበት ጊዜ ላይ ሆርሞኖች ሌቨል ምን ይሆናሉ ይላል። So that should be A, estrogen and progesterone level decrease. Means that during menstruation the level of estrogen and progesterone decrease, causing the uterine lining to shed. Question number 77. What is the estimated number of people infected with sexually transmitted infection every day worldwide? እንደ ዓለም አቀፍ በግንኙነት የሚተላለፉ በሽታዎች የሚያዙ ሰዎች በቀን ስንት ይሆናሉ ይላል። So that should be 1.4 million. Means that approximately 1.4 million people are infected with sexually transmitted infection every day worldwide. Question number 78. Which of the following is the primary method of preventing parasitic sexually transmitted infection like pubic lice and scabies? ከሚከተሉት ዋነኛው መንገድ parasitic sexually transmitted የሚተላለፉ በሽታዎች like pubic lice እና scabies መከላከያ የሆነው ዘዴ የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be B, good hygiene. Means that protecting sexual contact and maintaining good hygiene are a key to prevent parasitic sexually transmitted infection like pubic lice and scabies. Question number 79. What is the primary mode of transmission for hepatitis B? ዋነኛው የጉበት በሽታ hepatitis B የምንለው የሚተላለፍበት መንገድ የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A, blood, bodily fluid, and sexual contact. Means that hepatitis B spreads through infected blood, bodily fluid, and unprotected sexual contact. Question number 80. Which of the following is incorrectly marked causative agent with disease they cause? ከሚከተሉት በትክክል ያልተዛመደው የኮዛቲቭ ኤጀንት እና እነሱ የሚያመጡ በሽታው ሸክሞ የሚያመጡ በሽታው የትኛው ነው በትክክል ያልተዛመደው ይላል። So that should be C, hemophilus dysentery and genital herpes የሚል ትክክል አይደለም ማለት ነው. Means that chancroids caused by a bacteria hemophilus dysentery resulting painful genital unclars and genital herpes caused by herpes simplex virus with HSV1 typically affecting. Question number 81. What primitive measure is most effective against sexually transmitted infection like gonorrhea and chlamydia? ዋነኛው በጣም ጠቃሚ የሆነው sexual transmitted infection like gonorrhea እና chlamydia መከላከያ የሆነው መንገድ የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D, protective sexual contact. Means that protective sexual contact using condoms during sexual activity is most effective primitive measures against sexually transmitted infections such as gonorrhea and chlamydia. Question number 82. Which of the following disease causative agent or pathogens are bacteria? ከሚከታተሉት በሽታዎች በባክቴሪያ የሚመጡ በሽታዎች የሆኑ የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be C, syphilis, gonorrhea, bacterial vaginosis, chancroid, and chlamydia are caused by bacteria. Means that syphilis, gonorrhea, bacterial vaginosis, chancroid, and chlamydia are caused by bacteria, whereas scabies, scabs or pubic lice, and trichomoniasis caused by parasite, and genital herpes, genital warts, mollusca contagiosum, HIV, and hepatitis B are caused by virus. Question number 83. Which viral sexually transmitted infection can lead to increased risk of cervical and throat cancer? በቫይረስ የሚተላለፉ የግንኙነት በሽታዎች የትሮት እና ሰርቪካል ካንሰር እንዲመጡ በደንብ ኢንክሪዝ ነው የሚያደርገው ሪስኩን የትኞቹ በሽታዎች ናቸው ይላል so that should be a human papilloma virus means that human papilloma virus can cause genital warts and increase risk of cervical and throat cancer. Question number 84. What are the three stages of HIV infection progression? HIV infection progression የምንላቸው ሶስቱ ስቴጆች የትኞቹ ናቸው ይላል so that should be C. Acute HIV infection, chronic HIV infection, and AIDS. Means that HIV progression through three stages that they are acute HIV infection, chronic HIV infection, or clinical latency, and AIDS is the final and the most severe stage. Primary and also sleeves can be primary sleeves, secondary sleeves, and tertiary sleeves as the three stages of sleeves. Question number 85. What is the key symptom of trichomoniasis in human? ሴቶች በትራኮሞናሲስ በሽታ ከተያዙ ዋነኛው ምልክት ምንድነው ይላል so that should be C. Foul smelling vaginal discharge. Means that trichomoniasis in human often cause large amount of foul smelling discharge from the vagina along with genital redness, burning, and itching. Trichomoniasis is caused by parasite Trichomonas vaginalis and spread through sexual contact. Question number 86. Which stage of syphilis is characterized by non-inchy and rash on the palms and sole? Syphilis stage ውስጥ በnon-inchy እና rash palms on the sole የሚታወቀው stage የትኛው ነው ይላል so that should be B. Secondary syphilis. Means that secondary syphilis is marked by non-inchy rash on the palms and soles. Question number 87. Why does having history of sexually transmitted infection increase the risk of contracting new ones? And so በሴክሹዋሊ የሚተላለፉ በሽታዎች በሂስትሪ ካለ ከዛ በፊት ይዞ ካለ ለሌላ ማያዙ ቀላል ሆኖ ይገኛል ይሄ ለምንድን ነው ይላል so that should be C. It creates conditions that make infection by new sexually transmitted infection easier. Means that having a history of sexually transmitted infection can weaken immune system or alter the genital environment, making it easier for new infection to take hold. Question number 88. Which of the following behavior is a risk factor for sexually transmitted infection transmission? ከመከተሉት ዋነኛው behavior ሰዎቹ በግንኙነት የሚተላለፉ በሽታዎች ውስጥ የሚወርቁ የሚያደርገው የትኛው behavior ነው ይላል so should be B. Misuse of alcohol or recreational drug. Means that substance misuse can impair judgment, making individuals more likely to engage in risky behavior that increase their exposure to sexually transmitted infections. Question number 89. Which factor significantly increase the risk of contracting and sexual transmitted infection? ከመከታተሉት ዋነኛው sexual transmitted infection በደንብ ሰዎች እንዲይዙ ፋክተር የሚሆነው ብዙ ሰዎች ለዚህ በሽታዎች ተጋላጭ እንዲሆኑ የሚያደርገው የትኛው ነው ይላል so that should be A. Having unprotected sex. Means that unprotected sex, especially without latex condom, greatly increase the risk of sexual transmitted infection transmissions. Question number 90. What is one reason why young people aged between 15 to 24 having higher prevalence of sexual transmitted infection in Ethiopia? ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ወጣቶች በአብዛኛው እድሜያቸው 15 እስከ 24 የሆኑ በግንኙነት የሚተላለፉ በሽታዎች ተጋላጭ ናቸው ይሄ ለምንድን ነው ይላል so that should be D. This age group engages in the risky behavior more frequently. Means that adolescents and young adults are more likely to engage in risky sexual behavior, which increase their risk of contracting sexually transmitted infections. Question number 91. Why is family planning important for maternal health? የቤተሰብ ምጣኔ ፕላኒንግ ለእናቶች ጤና ለምን ያስፈልጋል ይላል። So that should be C. It reduces complication during pregnancy and childbirth. Means that family planning helps prevent health risk associated with unplanned pregnancy and ensure safer outcomes for mothers and baby. And also family planning programs also compromise essential health services such as breast and cervical cancer screening to support reproductive health. Question number 92. Which harmful traditional practice often result in young girl leaving school? harmful traditional practice የምንለው ወጣት ሴቶች ትምህርት ለቆ እንዲወጡ ምክንያት የሚሆነው የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A. Early marriage. Means that early marriage often cause young girls to drop out of school, limiting their education and also future opportunity. Question number 93. What is the recommended waiting period after miscarriage or abortion after trying to conceive again? አንድነት ጽንሱ ከወጣ ወይ ደግሞ በተለያዩ ምክንያቶች ሊወጣ ይችላል ማለት ነው። በህመም ሊሆን ይችላል ወይ ደግሞ በተለያዩ ችግሮች ሊወጣ ይችላል። ስለዚህ አንድነት አቦርሽን ጽንሱ ከሷ ከወጣ ተመልሳ ለማርገዝ ወይ ጽንሱን ለመያዝ ስንት ጊዜ መቆየት አለባት ይላል። So that should be C. 6 months. Means that 6 months it is recommended to wait at least 6 months after miscarriage or abortion before try to conceive again. What percentage of harmful traditional practice in Ethiopia involve female genital mutilation? ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ የሴቶች ጀኒታል ማቱሌሽን የምንለው harmful traditional practice ስንት ፐርሰንት ነበር ይላል። So that should be B. 73%. Means that in Ethiopia 73% of harmful traditional practice involve female genital mutilation, and harmful traditional practice violate basic human rights by causing significant harm to an individual physical and mental well-being. So it is not good. Question number 95. What is the major health effect of excessive alcohol consumption? አንድ ሰው ከአቅም በላይ አብስቶ አልኮል የሚጠጣ ከሆነ ምን አይነት የጤና ችግር ሊያመጣ ይችላል? So that should be B. Cirrhosis of the liver. Means that prolonged heavy alcohol use damages the liver, potentially lead to cirrhosis and other severe liver condition. Question number 96. Which of the following is a common immediate effect of consuming marijuana or cannabis? Cannabis ወይ marijuana የሚባለው የአሺሽ ሰው የሚጠቀም ከሆነ immediate effect የሚባለው ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be D. Impaired coordination and alter perceptions. Means that marijuana use can immediately impair motor skill and alter sensory perceptions. Question number 97. Which of the following is short-term effect of drug use? ከሚከተሉት ድረግ ማጠቃቀም ውስጥ short term effect ሊመጣ የሚችለው ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be A. Nausea and abdominal pain. Means that short term drug use can cause nausea, abdominal pain and other immediate health issues. Question number 98. Which of the following is long term effect of drug use? አንድ ሰው የተለያዩ መድኃኒቶች የሚጠቀም ከሆነ ከረጅም ጊዜ በኋላ የሚመጣበት ችግር ከሚከተሉት የትኛው ነው ይላል። So that should be B. Liver damage or fluor. Means that long term drug use increase the risk of liver damage or liver fluor, increase risk of heart disease, disordered brain function and also reduced immune response. Question number 99. How does excessive alcohol use contribute to risk of sexual behavior? አንድ ሰው ከመጠን በላይ አልኮል ከጠጣ እንዴት ነው ሴክሹዋል ግንኙነት ወይ ደግሞ ሴክሹዋል ቢሄቪየር ሪስክ ኮንትሪቢዩት የሚያደርገው እንዴት ነው ይላል። So that should be B. It reduces inhibitions and impaired decision making. Means that alcohol lowers inhibitions lead to decisions that make involve unprotected sex and increased risk of sexually transmitted infection or unintended pregnancy. Question number 100. What harmful traditional practice involving kidnapping girl to make her wife unwillingly? And said, በግድ traditional in the traditional practice ሆኖ በግድ ይዞ በግድ ጣልፎ የምስት ለማድረግ በጉልበት ማውሰዱ ምን ተብሎ ይጠራል ወይ ምን ተብሎ ይታወቃል ይላል? So that should be a marriage by abduction. Means that marriage by abduction involves kidnapping a girl to force her into marriage, violating her rights and safety. So ጠለፋ ጥሩ አይደለም ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ አንድ ሴት በግድ ጠልፎ ምስ ማድረግ ማሞከር ወይ ማውሰድ ማረጅ ባይ አብዳክሽን ተብሎ ይታወቃል ማለት ነው። ይሄ ትክክል አይደለም። ማንኛውም ሰው ጠለፋ ማድረግ የለበትም ማለት ነው። Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget like, subscribe, share, comment and link on YouTube channel. ይህንን ቪዲዮ ስላዳመጣችሁ እጅግ አድርጌ ነው የማመሰግናችሁ። ግን ማረሰት የሌለባችሁ ነገር ምንድነው? ላይክ ያላደረጋችሁ አሁን ሆኖ ይህንን ቪዲዮ ላይክ በማድረግ እንደዛውም አሊሳን YouTube channel subscribe በማድረግ ቴሌግራም ግሩፕ ካላችሁ እዛ ላይ ሼር ማድረጉ እንዳትረሱ። ቀጣይ ሌላ ቪዲዮ ይዤ ድረስ መልካም ጊዜ ይሁንላችሁ። If you have any question or suggestion, please write it under comment. Until I come back with other tutorial video, good time for you. Thank you. Welcome back again.